about 6 years ago, I decided, that's not what I came here to do. I'm working much harder than I actually planned. So I made the decision to move into entrepreneurship first time in my 50s. So people would say, isn't that a bit crazy, giving up a good job and a regular salary? But I wanted something different for my life. So I set up my own organisation. As I said, it's award-winning, This Woman Can. And that's the potted story. When in your head you're hearing something negative, I always like to challenge it to say, well, is that, something says you can't do that, or you'll fail if you do that. I always ask it, what are you basing that on? If I've never done it before, especially, or if I can say I have done it before and this is the result when I did it, I can tap into that. So it's about having that positive self-talk. It's about managing that inner critic. It's about overcoming your imposter syndrome. The biggest challenge was always myself, because again, anybody who's done mass participation sports will know you get exactly the same medal as the winner. No matter if you finish last, you get exactly the same medal. So for me, I am a winner.
Obehi, the author of the storytelling series for small businesses and content creators. In Obehi Podcast, we talk about the power of your story, your narrative, and why you should own your voice. Whether you are a small business owner, a content entrepreneur, or you simply want to build your influence, storytelling is probably going to be your best instrument to connect with your audience. So join the awakened few who are owning their voices. Now let's get started with today's episode.
Hi, Obehi. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on your podcast. My name's Janice Sutherland, and I am a leadership development and career strategist coach based in Antigua and Barbuda in the Caribbean. As you can tell by my accent, I'm English born, but I have lived out here in the Caribbean for just over 13 years. I have had many senior roles, worked at senior leadership roles in the UK before moving out to Antigua, where I worked for the major telecoms companies here, and becoming their first female CEO to head up the telecoms industry for Antigua and Barbuda and Montserrat. And then about 6 years ago, I decided, that's not what I came here to do. I'm working much harder than I actually planned. So I made the decision to move into entrepreneurship first time in my 50s. So people would say, isn't that a bit crazy, giving up a good job and a regular salary? But I wanted something different for my life. So I set up my own organisation. As I said, it's award-winning, This Woman Can. And that's the potted story.
That's fantastic. So after 50 years, that was when you moved to strike out for yourself. That is powerful. Tell me a bit about that. What actually moved you to that direction?
Well, there was a couple of things. As I said, I'd already moved to the Caribbean in my 40s. And the plan was to step down a little bit from what I was doing. I had very senior roles in the UK. I wanted to slow it down a little bit, but I still wanted to work. But what actually happened was the opposite. I actually started working a hell of a lot harder than I ever did. And I started experiencing burnout. It was my second case of burnout. I ignored what my body was telling me, that you need to slow down, you need to make a difference. And I had a hard stop. My body stopped me. Basically, I was in the middle of a meeting, burst into tears. I was totally stressed, totally burnt out, and that was my warning shot to say, Janice, you need to do something different. But with that came the challenge. It was what is that something different? I live on a small island with just about 100,000 people. work at the level that I did wasn't, or roles at the level like that I had at that time weren't prevalent. But I also realized that I didn't want to do what I was doing. Otherwise, I would be doing it. I just didn't know what. So that began my search, I suppose. I had a rough idea what I wanted to do, but nothing concrete.
All right. All right. In fact, that leads me to a question that I think is actually burning in my mind just now, which is about clarity. You know that you want to do something, but it wasn't clear in your mind yet. And today, this is what you are teaching people. This is what you are helping people to do, no?
Yes.
All right. So how do you move from with all the images around you in your head to having a focus? Because I think it's Alexander Graham Bell who said that the sun ray does not burn until it's brought to focus. So being focused or being able to focus is something that is really very powerful in our particularly busy world. So how do you focus?
I think it's a process, especially going through this situation where you're looking at yourself and you've been, I suppose, very successful in your career. You've kind of always known what to do. You've always been very clear on the path that you wanted to follow. And then you find yourself in a position where, is this it? What am I to do? So it starts with a lot of self-reflection. And so it's either journaling, it's meditation, just taking time to think about what is important to you. What are your values? Because we talk about values a lot, but what I don't know if people realize that your values actually change over time, and they should change over time. Because what I wanted maybe in my 20s and 30s was definitely not what I wanted in my 50s. So it's understanding where you are and what's important to you at this stage of your life, and then looking at what are your strengths and what are the areas you need to work on. I don't like to call them weaknesses, but they're areas to work on. So I think that's the first start, is that self-reflection.
All right. So we're going to look at yourself in the mirror.
Yes. And have some very honest conversations with yourself, because I suppose we're very easy to lie to. We're very easy to lie to ourselves. We spend a lot of time, maybe when we're unhappy in roles, we stay stuck, and sometimes we tell lies to ourselves, or we make excuses, should I say, as to why we should stay where we are. So if we're stuck in a role, we're telling ourselves, well, we can't move because you need the money. That may be a very valid reason, but if it's making you unhappy, if it's eroding your health, if it's damaging, that the fact you don't have time for yourself or your self-care and stuff like that, then is that money worth, bottom line, sometimes your life? Because people have passed in roles where they've, overworked and stressed themselves out.
All right, Janice, now I'm thinking. The other day I was interviewing a guest here. Of course, I do a lot of interview here. I like to listen to a lot of. I like to listen a lot. So this guest, I think, she's a hypnotherapist. So she was telling me about mask. That we wear mask. Almost all of us wear mask all the time. Particularly, of course, if you are in the corporate world. I work in hospitality for over 10 years, so I understand how important it is for you to smile all the time, which is, of course, is something good in itself, no? So what I'm trying to sort of hit at here is like you were saying just now that we lie to ourselves a lot of time when we are in front of the mirror. We tell ourselves a lot of story, we paint a picture of ourselves, and when we go out, we do the same thing, which is the mask that we are wearing. We sort of try to fit in.
Yes.
Why do we do that?
I think you're going to get different stories depending different answers depending who you talk to. Me as a Black woman in a white corporate world, and I would say this when I started my career, it was almost to fit in, because you already stuck out as it was, being sometimes the only Black female in a room full of Caucasian people. So you look for ways to be sometimes accepted. You look for ways to not stick out so much, so that you know code switching, where we talk about code switching, where we talk about we have a different persona when we're in that world than what we are at home. You know, we get very adept at that. So sometimes it's about acceptance. I think nowadays, maybe 20, 30 years on in my career, I still see that happening with the women I speak to, who talk about, how they have to maybe hide some of themselves. They can't be truly authentic. And that is a challenge. But I think also authenticity or being authentic in who you are is about how confident you are with who you are. So it's definitely, as I said, a process. I think age has probably given me that opportunity to think, well, this is who I am, accept it. And I don't intend to change for anybody. So I definitely think it comes with time and practice as well.
All right. I'm going to write that down. I don't intend to change for anybody. I didn't need to write that down. All right. Not wanting to change yourself for somebody, that actually is talking to me about confidence, that you are confident in who you are.
Yeah.
You know who you are. You are not ready to bend. I so much love that. I wish a lot of women are like that. Now, for women like you, and maybe for women that you are serving,
yes,
what would you say about building confidence? Because I don't think sometimes, maybe it comes natural when we were born, but as we grow up, we don't grow naturally confident.
Yes.
Help me. How do you build it?
How do we get confidence? Great. Positive self-talk is definitely a strong one. I think becoming aware of your inner dialogue. We have a little thing on our shoulder sometimes, a little voice in our head. I call it my inner mean girl. That will sometimes tell us that we're not worthy, we're not this, we can't do something. So it's really about controlling that inner mean girl, that inner critic. There's so many words for it, so many names for it, whatever name you give it, but it's about controlling that. And sometimes when something's telling you in your head, you're hearing something negative, I always like to challenge it to say, well, is that, something says you can't do that, or you'll fail if you do that. I always ask it, what are you basing that on? If I've never done it before, especially, or if I can say I have done it before and this is the result when I did it, I can tap into that. So it's about having that positive self-talk. It's about managing that inner critic. It's about overcoming your imposter syndrome. So and sometimes, it's about, that's probably the nutshell.
All right, that's fine. Have you ever met somebody who was not confident and you helped this individual to become confident? Help me. How did you do it?
Confidence comes from within. My role as a coach is to help them to see the parts within themselves that they've probably overlooked. It's to help them challenge, as I said, those negative self-thoughts they have about themselves. It's about helping them create a plan to help them get to where they want to get to. So confidence is always a work in progress. It's never like a one and done, one conversation, you're confident. It's always about practice. It's always about pushing yourself. When you come across something that you don't feel confident about, it's about challenging. So, well, actually, I can do this. And if you can't do it, if you don't try, you're never going to know if you can do it. And if you fail, and if you do fail, there are always learnings you can take away from that for the next time. So really, it's about guiding them through and helping them challenge their own self-thoughts, their own perception of what they have of themselves to take a positive stance.
Tell me something, Janice. When you look at the African diaspora community, what do you see in terms of the women that is in this community, which of course, women are actually the brain of the community. Without them, the life dies, no? Yes. How do you see them in line with what you do? Talking of confidence, talking of the over 50 who need to become young again, because this is your life. You can't give it up.
Yeah. So I think, I think when you're at my age, when you're at this stage and you've had a very successful career, there is a level of confidence sometimes, but there is also a level of self-doubt because you've had to fight to get to where you are. You've had to fight to be successful. But within that, what you probably don't recognize you've done is built a very successful support network, because when you're having those moments of self-doubt, you're tapping into your friends, your family, somebody like me to help you with that guidance. You've already experienced failure along your career. So again, if you've been very successful, if you want to be successful, you're taking that failure as definitely as a journey, as an opportunity to grow and learn stronger. We are, and I'm talking about Black women, we are some of the strongest women, by necessity sometimes, because of what we've had to face. And I'm going to talk about women over 50. I call them the power trifecta, because we talk about all the different isms, but we're at the intersectionality of race, gender, and age, and yet we're still successful. So we're dealing with three different isms: ageism, genderism, is that the word? Genderism, and what's the word? Genderism, ageism. Help me out here. Ageism. Did I say ageism twice?
I think we usually say ageism, but gender is okay. That is a new word that I'm hearing, which is actually very important.
There must be a different word for it, but I can't want it. It's a definism.
Well, there is a lot of easy inside there. Thank you so much for that, Janice. I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. All right. Now, in all of this that you do,
Yes.
do people sometimes complain to you of why they might not be able to build confidence, or why it is difficult for them to build confidence? Of course, sometimes when they say this, it appears as if to other people that have built their confidence, it was easy for them. Whereas it's not easy for anybody, though. You just have to work hard, though. So I'm trying to understand, have you come across some people, some women in this case, because I know that most of the people that you work with are women, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you come across some women who maybe try to justify why they are not going to move from where they are?
Yeah, and they have a fixed mindset. They cannot. The thing here, you have to have a growth mindset. You have to have a mindset shift. So you saying you can't move from where you are means you're fixed. You cannot see another way of doing it, but you haven't allowed yourself to see another way to do it. So once you start believing in your ability, this is all about self-belief. You can't move because you don't believe you can do it. So it's about helping you grab that self-belief, developing that self-belief, and improving on yourself. That helps boost your confidence, move into a growth mindset. So you start believing that things are possible and you can do it.
I don't remember if I asked you about this strategy. Now, you mean this individual who you sometimes believe, sometimes it happens that you believe so much in people more than they believe in themselves, no? Then you start telling them, oh, you can do it. They start giving you a lot of excuses why they cannot do it. So I try to understand if there is a process that you walk them through to be able to see the light bulb shining so they can take action. Help me about that. What is the process?
I mean, I can probably see the potential in people, but I can't give you the potential, if that makes sense. You have to be able to see it in yourself. So as I said, I can work with you to take away some of those blocks. It may be that you have these limiting beliefs that maybe come from when you so many different ways. Maybe it's come from society, maybe it's as you were growing up, you were told you can't do certain things because of. So it starts with breaking and understanding some of those limiting beliefs that you have generated, developed, and it could be over years. Even now, for me, one of my limiting beliefs was that I cannot be successful without working hard. So and a lot of women do this. So we are working lots and lots of hours, the hustle culture, the grind culture, work more hours, you'd be successful. But what you're doing is actually exhausting yourself and helping yourself on the road to burnout. So for me, it was understanding that to be successful, I don't have to work all the hours that are given to me. What I have to do is work smarter to achieve my success metrics. And that is a mindset shift. So it's about understanding what the things you've been telling yourself, and I suppose negating those, or getting you to see, and there is another way to think about the thought you've had.
Now, I want us to go back to where it all began. Now, you're a young woman growing up in the UK. Tell me, what do you see around yourself in terms of the image that you would have liked to project about yourself as an adult, but now you're still a young girl in England?
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question. I grew up in, I say, multicultural UK. 70. I'm a 60s child, so I'm the cusp of Boomer and Gen Z, right on the cusp. So I would have grown up in multicultural England, where there was still a lot of racism. There was still a lot of things that were told that you can't do as a Black child. I was the first person in my family, my extended family, to go to college. Definitely the first one to get a degree, though I did get that degree till I was a mature student, divorced with 2 children. So that's a whole nother story. So for me, it was about, at that point, the goal for, I suppose, children at that time was to leave home and go and get a job, get a 9 to 5, earn some money, and then do whatever you had to do after that. I wanted to stop that. I actually saw more for myself. I thought I was capable of more. So I wanted to go to college. My mom believed I had the ability, so she helped me go to college. So for me, that was the first step. And I suppose I'm the eldest of 6 children, first generation immigrant. So I was always the one that my mom tapped into to say, I don't understand this, Janice, or how do we do this? And what does that look like? And so I was always there. I always had, I suppose, a leadership type role. So I ran with it. Whether leadership is born or nurtured, if you're born with it or is it nurture, I don't know. But I've definitely had a leadership vein through me. So I probably knew deep down I was destined for more. I just didn't know what that was. But I didn't want to lose the opportunity to find out.
And what was influencing you at that young age? What was influencing you to sort of take on this trajectory?
Being told I can't do it. I don't like being told I can't do something. So I think that would have been probably one of my drivers. My mom was a huge influence on me. She was my biggest cheerleader. I could do no wrong. So if I had said to her, I'm thinking of doing this, or I want to try that, she'd tell me to go for it. She'd always push me. She would never stop me from trying something new. And if it didn't work out, she was still there to help me, to pick me up, I suppose, and say to me, okay, that's happened now. What are you going to do next?
That is powerful. That is like giving you the entire world to explore.
Yes.
That is really powerful. When you can tell children, hey, go for it and explore, no? That is powerful. I want to say that again. Or like when you say, no, you can't do that. Oh, you can't touch that. Oh, no, you can't say that. That is a lot of limitation that we're just setting up for children.
Yes. Yeah, she gave me the opportunity to explore without judgment. She'd never say, I told you so. I mean, my whole business is called This Woman Can. And that is a result of my mum. She always told me you can do it. I'll tell a little story here. I'm a former marathon runner, age and injury, but stopped me from marathon running. But I always used to race. And the first thing my mom always used to ask me every time I raced was, did you win? And I'd be looking at her going, Mom, there's people there who could run how many minute miles, whereas I'm doing a 12 minute mile. People are doing 5-minute miles. I'm not going to win. But in her mind, if you're going to do it, there's no reason why you can't win. She always had that. So that was always thing she asked me is, did you win? And my response to her was, I didn't win, but I didn't. And that the biggest challenge was always myself, because again, anybody who's done mass participation sports will know you get exactly the same medal as the winner. No matter if you finish last, you get exactly the same medal. So, so for me, I am a winner because I set out to achieve something. I set a goal, I worked towards it, and I achieved it. So I'm a winner.
That's great. I love that mentality. It's all about mindset.
Yes.
I think Jim Rohn was saying that 80% of it is a mindset. The rest is just the hard work. Yeah, you need to be hard work.
Absolutely.
But if you are hard work without a mindset, you are still going to fail anyway. And of course, failure, I'm not talking of the way people look at it. Failure is, of course, is part of the success. It's part of the package of success, no? But failure in the sense that you finally fail, no? That is what I'm talking about. All right. So when you look at yourself today, look at that time that you are growing up, looking at your children growing up. Okay, they have grown up now. I want to believe that is the situation.
Yes.
Do you see yourself in there like your mom was to you? Or let me not just say your children, but let's look at young people in the community. Sometimes as a community-oriented people, as African diaspora, or as people of African descent as we are, our children are not only our biological children. All the children around are our children. So when you look at those children today, because of course I say that because the future belongs to them. This is literally the truth. There is nothing you can do about that. So if you care about your society, if you care about your heritage, you are going to care about those children. Otherwise, very soon, you are going to be old like a tree. You cannot move anymore. They are the one that will move. You will move on their shoulder. But you're going to have to build them so that you can have a shoulder to move on. All right. So when you look at them today, what do you feel looking at the future now? Where do you think they are going to take the society?
That's a deep question. That's a very deep question. I still think we need to do more to support. I was reading quite recently in the UK where a 15-year-old girl was stabbed to death, and I was a bit dark, by a 17-year-old boy for whatever reason, because of an argument with his girlfriend. And I still think that there's I don't want to critique parents today. I don't want to do that, but I just think we need to be a bit more involved. We need to be there for them. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. I don't know. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but it worked for me. It worked for me when my mom was there supporting me. So I think we need to have far more involvement. I think there's a lot of potential. I just think we need to harness it a little bit more. And we need to give a lot more guidance and direction.
Based on your experience, we can see that you were getting that support from your family. Of course, not everybody get that, both then and now. I can understand that is why you are stressing that it is important that we get it more. Because the more we can support each other, the more we can grow. And that is so important. That is so important. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. Coming back to the conversation of the day, which is clarity and confidence. Would you say that confidence has anything to do with building clarity? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think that helps. I think having an idea or a clear plan of your goals, what you want to achieve, where you want to be going, having a sense of purpose and direction, that definitely helps you have confidence. If you don't know where you're going and what you're doing and why you need to get there or how you're going to get there, that's definitely going to make you wobble. That's definitely going to make you feel a little bit unsettled. So I think definitely having having clear goals on where you want to go and your plan to achieve those goals definitely helps with your confidence.
All right. That's clear. Now, tell me a bit about your clientele, the people that you are serving. What are they dealing with in terms of the problem that you are helping them to overcome?
A lot of the problems is my what next. That pretty much is it. It's my what next for my career. How do I make the next move? What's my plan? I help them make that plan for maybe the next 10 to 15 years of their life, where they're going to go. They've been very successful right now, and it's a struggle to think, I don't know what I'm doing next, but I just know this is not. I don't want to be doing what I'm doing right now, but I have to have a plan as to how I take my next step. So it is sometimes the confidence, but it's definitely about the clarity. It's definitely about having the plan. It's definitely about them having a great self-belief that they can achieve what they set out to do.
All right. Now, are there a kind of a step-by-step approach to be able to have this clarity? Because sometimes we are not clear enough when we are doing our things. No, when we are in the corporate world, we believe that is a security. People like so much that idea of security, even though that is really, security doesn't exist really at all. Particularly if you are working, if you are working for somebody, you think that you are secure there, but it's not security. Imagine when you break your leg, the person is not going to call you to work, no? Of course, it might call you to work for a few times to sort of give the Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. But at the point, the company need to run, the business need to run, so they're going to drop you at home. So it means that there is really no security after all. But anyway, so having all this mindset in us, it is not always easy to have the clarity of what we want at the end of the day, because the salary that you are receiving look like a little sugar you are receiving all the time, no? And it's sweet, no? You don't want to lose sugar and go and hustle. So how do you help individuals to get those kind of, to detach themselves from that false illusion and build on themselves something? Yeah.
Again, I think it all goes back to what I said. It's all going back to starting with, what is it you actually want? What are your values? What is it you're looking for going forward in your life or your career? Because if you don't know what's important to you, for me, and now, it was freedom. In the corporate world, I didn't have freedom. As you said, I had to go to work. I had the trappings, I had the title, I had all the prestige that went with it, that kept me there. But in fact, it was like having shackles. It was like having handcuffs. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. So where's my value back in when I first started out would have been financial security. It would have been, maybe the prestige or the title. As I matured or I grew older, what I actually wanted was the time and the freedom to do what I wanted to do. And I wasn't getting that where I was in my corporate career. So it really starts with understanding what your values are. What is it you want out of your life at this stage in time? What is important to you? So I would say the first step is starting with looking at your values and understanding what's important to you right now.
Thank you so much for that, Janice. Now, tell people, how can they connect with you, those who want to do business with you?
Very, very easily. You can connect to me on my happy place, which is LinkedIn. So I am Janice Sutherland on LinkedIn, or you can visit my website, janicesutherland.com, or on Instagram, I am Janice Sutherland. So I keep it very, very simple. I'm happy to speak to anybody who's reached that point in their career where they're thinking about their what next.
What next? All right. What next? So how would you conclude the conversation very briefly? What is your final thought here?
My final thought is that I always have something on my wall here, on my wall, especially it's like you don't need to be empowered when you already have the power. So if what you need to do is believe you can achieve. It's an old adage, but once you believe that, that's your first step. Definitely your first step, but you already have the power. You just need to know how to unleash it.
Janice, thank you so much for the conversation. It's been a pleasure here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Obehi.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you in the next episode.